Hello friends, it's Miss Natalie here, and I am going to show you how to use layers to create a sketch for your 1-point perspective line drawing. I'm starting with paint layer 1, which I'm going to be working with in red. It helps for me not just to have different layers, but to use different colors on those different layers so they're very distinct from each other. This layer is going to be just for my horizon line and for my vanishing point. So I'm going to start by putting in that horizon line using the line tool that I'd already selected there. There it says line tool. I'm going to click on one side and drag across to the other. Make sure it's nice and straight. And let go, and I've got a nice straight line. It's a little weird at the end, but that's good enough. If you noticed, I changed the size of my line up here. I'm going to choose the freehand brush tool to make a dot, and I'm going to make this, make this nice and big. And I'm going to do my I think I'm going to put my vanishing point a little off center. Make this a little more interesting. All right, so there, I've got my vanishing point, I've got my horizon line. So now I'm going to add another layer, and this layer is I'm going to be making in blue. This is going to be my blue layer. There we go. And this layer is going to be for some guidelines and also some things that might end up actually being there. So I'm going to make the guideline for the street, which, I will probably, that's too big, isn't it? I kept that. Let's make this 10. And my street's going to be here and there. This is all the sketch. So eventually the street will, whatever I choose will be on a larger, or another layer with a different brush. Right now I am just using this basic marker. I like it. It's a good brush for me. All right, so that's the street. Next, I'm going to put in a layer, or not a layer, I'm sorry, some lines to show where, say, the tops of my buildings would be if they are going to the vanishing point. And I'm going to make some pretty tall buildings over there. And I'm going to have different sizes of buildings. So I'm going to have like another line here, some lines that are below the vanishing point. You know what? I think I'm going to make some crazy tall buildings on that size. And yeah, they don't go exactly to the vanishing point, but for me it's good enough. And some maybe super short buildings there. So I've got a variety of different sizes for my buildings and on my street. All right, and I'm wondering if I need a new layer now to start putting in my buildings. I think I will, so I'm going to add another. These are all paint layers. You can see it says paint layers. And this one is going to be green. And these are going to be lines that I will probably end up using eventually. And that's going to be for my buildings. I wish this was just a slightly different. Wish I could get it just not quite so big with I zoom in and it's like super zoom. All right, well, we'll do it like that. Okay, as long as I know that I'm getting the bottom. So I'm going to have a building that, what the heck, ends right there, and it's going to go straight up. And the nice thing about my line tool, again, I click and I drag, is that I can make sure that it is perfectly straight, and that means it's perfectly parallel to the edge, just by checking the size of it. So that's going to be one building, and maybe this building will be a shorter building next to it. And these are just the walls of the building, and trying to get it nice and straight. And I'm shooting a video right now, so I really need to make sure nobody's disturbing me. So that's good. And another wall for a big building. And maybe this building is very short but very wide. I could have a very wide building here, couldn't I? All right, kind of doing it Bob Ross style. Just happy little trees, happy little buildings wherever they want to be. And maybe one more building here. Oh, should we do a final really tall building? Yeah, we'll do a final tall building there. All right, and I'm not worried so much if my lines are going over the blue guidelines, if my green lines are going over the blue lines, because when it comes right down to it, I'm going to start here. These are just sketches, and I will be putting another layer on top, maybe even more than one layer for my final layer to finish up when I'm ready for my final part. And wow, there's not going to be quite nearly as many buildings here on this side, are there? You know what I'm just going to do 3 buildings in a row that are, nope, let's use that undo button. You may have seen me do that before. I'll just start here, and I might make it all the way up to the horizon, even though the building is not going to be that tall, because I want to make sure, there we go, that I've got my line perpendicular. Oops. Okay, so this is my sketch. This is the first part of my sketch, and I'm pretty happy with that. This is a very basic layout for my 1-point perspective, where I have my horizon line, my vanishing points, the lines that are going to my vanishing point to give me a guideline for the sizes of the different buildings. I'm pretty happy with this. I think the next thing I would do would be the tops of the buildings. And you know what, since I did the sides, I can do the top also here. So the top of the building is just going to follow this guideline, which is nice. Whether it is above or below. Ooh, the one thing about the top of this building, though, is it's gonna meet up. Even though this building next to it is only so high, this top is a little higher. So I got to remember that when I make a building next to a shorter one that is taller, I have to put in the other part of the wall for that tall building, so that I can make a line for the top of it. So fortunately with these buildings, they are set up so that each one is shorter than the one before it. You know what, I think I'm going to make this exactly the size of the horizon line there. We'll just do that. And let's see, we'll also have the bottom of our buildings. Yeah. You know, one thing in our street is going to have sidewalks. So I think I'm going to make you know what, I think I'm going to go back to the blue layer. And I can make sure that this is the blue one by hovering over it. Cool. And I can find my blue over here in my color selector to go back. And I'm just going to lay in where my sidewalks would be. There's one sidewalk, and that's where the other sidewalk would be. There we go. Then I can go back to my green layer for the last thing I'm going to do and select the green. And the last thing I'm going to do is the roof of the buildings. And the roofs of the buildings are going to be parallel to the top of the paper, actually. They're going to go, aka, straight back. So if I put my, if I start my line and make sure that it's straight across, that's going to be my roof. Now, let's see. If it is that correct? Or the roof line. In some cases, that means I'm seeing the top of the building, and in other cases, I'm not. So if my roof is below the horizon line, I'm going to see part of it. If it's above the horizon line, I'm not going to see it. Let's do the roof line for this. Click and straight back. This one, click. Wait. Click and straight, except for that's not. Is that it? Click and straight back. Yeah, because it's from that line. Oh, that's interesting. I forgot about, is that how it works? No. This, I believe that this, does that go that way? Nope, that does go straight back. It's just strange. And you know what? I'm going to make this building not as deep. Here you see me like remembering things as I go along. Oh, that's what it is. It's got to go along a blue line. Back to blue. I got to put a blue line in for the back of my building. So if I get to see the back of my building, then back to my green layer. Haha. So, except, let's go. I messed that up. Well, you know, that's the great thing about the undo button. It makes things so easy to fix. Okay, so that's my blue layer, blue line, green layer, green line. Okay, so this roof does go straight back. Okay, so, and this one, wait, we're going to do this one first. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. It's going to go straight back to there. And then that is going to follow that. And that's the back of the roof. And this one is going to go straight back to here. And that's the top of the roof. Woohoo! Boy, it should not have taken that long to figure out how to do it. And this one gets to go straight back, and then this can go straight down since we are seeing that. All right, so that's those buildings. Now they're just squares. I can change them up later, but for now we're just going to keep them as squares because this is the sketch. You know, this is just where they are, how tall they are, and how do they fit in the 1-point perspective. Okay, don't have to worry about the roof of this one. That's nice. Or of that one, actually, because that's higher. If I went straight across, nope, you can't see it. And this one either. Woof, that's nice. Don't have to worry about any roofs on that side at all. So I think I am done with my basic sketch that lays out my horizon line, my vanishing points, my lines that go to the vanishing point, and my basic outline of my buildings. All right, in our next video, we will move on with some things to make our artwork more fancy. See you soon.